From high atop Willard R. Stadium, in the shadow of TQL Stadium, right across the street, and the heart of it all on Ezra Charles Drive. It's Thursday night football on the Report, Ohio. Good evening, football fans. Joel Sackenheim, Chris Vogt. Glad to have you with us as the Madison Mohawks take the field, the first Butler County team in week 2 to do so on the road against Gamble Montessori. Chris, the Madison Mohawks, They had beaten Preble Shawnee 33-13 last year in the opening. They went to their place this year, and it didn't go quite so well for the Mohawks last week.
Yeah, I think one of those things where I think Preble Shawnee had quite a few of their offensive players coming back, and Pop talked about that before the season. He said they've got a pretty good quarterback coming back. And, it showed. We were talking to some of the assistant coaches up here on the booth and said, hey, one fumble did us in, an onside kick, didn't recover it, and boom, next play. Took it to the house, and that's all she wrote. And unfortunately, at this time, you've got to let something like that, bypass, Joel. You've got to pick it back up. You've got to recoup and say, let's carry on. And unfortunately, Madison was unable to do that last game.
There's an old saying that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. A 52-0 loss, we hope doesn't kill them, but rather gives them a good opportunity to go into film and say, okay, about everything went wrong that could have possibly gone wrong last week. Now what can we do to regroup and rebuild in week 2? And they're going to have an opportunity here because Gamble's not going to like their game film any better from week 1. They went into Merrifield, played against a New Miami team that had a 21-game losing streak and managed in a bad way for them to snap that losing streak as New Miami comes away with that win. Chris, what happened there?
Yeah, huge win for New Miami. I talked to Chris Vogel after the game, and he said, look, it was back and forth. New Miami got on the board first, 7-0. Gamble Montessori was threatening. They scored, but then New Miami was able to put it into the end zone in the fourth quarter. They almost scored again, Joel, so New Miami almost won by more than 2 possessions. However, Gamble Montessori, like you said, is not going to take that lightly. They don't want to be the brunt of that 21-game losing streak from Miami. So I'm thinking that Madison's going to have to come out and expect a little bit of a showing from Gamble Montessori. So this may turn out to be a pretty athletic game.
Two teams that both started off 0-1 and a very bitter 0-1 at that. One of them is going to start off 0-2. That's not the side you want to be on this early in the season, for sure.
Not at all. And Joel, Madison's going to be not just hamstrung, but at the same time, they're going to have to win this game on the road.
Late start time tonight, 8 p.m. A lot of start times have been later this weekend. Chris, I see you've been all over Twitter trying to keep track of a lot of games.
Yeah, I just made one post on Twitter. I was able to update it as they came in, so if you had to go back and look at it.
Unless anything else changed. And we'll go through all of those game times at halftime when we get into the world's greatest halftime show. But we got to tap play before we get there. And I love
being able to hear it this time.
I love seeing a nose tackle taking the ball to kick the opening kickoff. Brad Wellbrock out there. Big old number 77, a 320-pound kicker slash nose tackle. It looks like Gamble Montessori.
If you're asking me why is he out there, because he's probably got a decent leg. It doesn't matter where it goes, as long as you get that ball down towards the end zone.
No new kickoff rule in high school football this year, unlike the NFL. And it looks like Caleb Miller and Matt Wheeler, the two seniors, back deep for the Mohawks to return. Madison's going to return the opening kick to at least the 40-yard line. Going to try to bounce the thing outside. Avoids the horse collar tackle across the 40-yard line. And Chris, how's this for a little early momentum for the Madison Mohawks?
Well, if you're Steve Pop, you're shaking your fist. Heck yeah, let's get this thing on the road. Let's go ahead and put last week behind us and just take care of some business.
I don't think anybody touched him until he crossed the 40-yard line there, Chris.
No, he didn't. He didn't get touched.
Madison's going to have the ball at the 35-yard line, short field. Not a lot more than a college overtime here.
Right. Now, Steve Pop is back at the helm. You're going to look like a lot of runs in the middle, runs to the left, runs to the right, Joel.
Second year back to Pop.
Second year back, 7th overall.
Gavin Johnson, quarterback in a shotgun formation. And there's your handoff up the middle. and that is to Miller. And Miller darting in and out of traffic. Again untouched for a good 8 yards of that carry. Easily enough for a first down for the Mohawks.
Yeah, we'll be calling Miller's name quite often today just because he's the lone wolf that's back from last year.
Madison kind of like bait in terms of replacing a lot of starters.
Offensively, the quarterback Thompson, he is no longer with them. But hey, hold on, heads up.
That's easy. 2 plays. That's all she wrote. And easy peasy, Japanese, they say in Austin Powers.
There it is. Miller got himself a
20-yard touchdown run.
If this is what it's going to look like, I think Madison's going to have a field day, Joel.
Well, from your lips to God's ears as far as Coach Pop is concerned, 22-yard touchdown run. And they took all of 34 seconds off the clock to get that done. That did not take long at all.
I'd score when I can, too.
Here comes the kick is up, and the kick is good. Last week, and Chris, it took him 34 seconds to score 7 points right off the bat here.
That's what we're talking about.
We'll see if they were no match for Madison's offensive line. 2 running plays there for 35 yards rushing and barely touching Miller there.
Right.
This is one of those games, if you have Miller in fantasy football starting on your Southwestern Buckeye League fantasy team, you might get some pretty good numbers out of this one.
Hey, you know what? At this point, we're going to find out if we need Madison's defense on our fantasy football team too. Boy, Joel, this if you asked me today what tonight was going to be like, if we're upstairs on top of the press box outside of Starkville Stadium, and it feels beautiful.
You would never think they would have moved this game back because of heat.
Right.
It's a hair muggy, but it's not anything bad. And that breeze blowing right across the top of this roof. James Taylor up on the roof. He knew what he was singing about.
I think that this was the right call, Joel.
Oh, yeah. Alden Graham set to kick things off for the Mohawks.
The son of Journal News photographer Nick Graham.
Okay.
The more you know.
The more you know. A shorter kick going to be fielded by Brown around the 18-yard line. And
crunch.
Madison's coverage was a lot better than Gamble's on their kickoff.
Yeah, well, hey, let's see what Madison can do with their defensive side of the ball. Gamble. I mean, Gamble did a decent amount of job trying to do some stuff with New Miami, but New Miami's defense, actually, Chris Fogel did tell me that New Miami is going to stand on their defense this year, and it showed.
So we got a 1st and 10 for Gamble Montessori. Keep your eyes on number 1, Amir Brown, number 10, Kwamani Bankhead, as well as number 2, Robert Mabry, and number 14, Abakar Diagora. Those are the 4 key players for Gamble on offense. Bankhead is the quarterback in shotgun formation. Handoff up the middle.
Nothing going, Joel.
Nada.
Nothing going. Hey, it's going to probably be in the trenches there in terms of what Madison can do.
The handoff goes to number 3, and I do not have a number 3 on my roster. If anybody from Madison up here knows who that is. They don't know who it is either. Hey, who is that masked man? 2 might be 3 now. We think that might be Robert Mabry, the running back. 2nd down and 10 for the Gators. Look at how far their offensive line is spread. A screen. Oh, boy. Oh,
boy. Off, Joel.
Intercepted, and there's Caleb Miller.
Do it, Mr. Do It All.
You got to love the smaller schools, Chris. We were last weekend with Dan Conway and my dad called in Lakota Eastern Centerville where nobody was going both ways. Here we are, Madison, the Division 5 school. Gamble, actually Division 4, believe it or not. But you're going to see a lot of players going both ways, and Miller already has 35 yards rushing and a touchdown run and an interception in the first 88 seconds of this ball game.
Hey, you know, if you're Madison, hand it to Miller again. The guy's on fire.
Well, I see this a lot of times when you play your friends in Madden and something's working and then they get too creative. I don't know that this is the time for creativity. Handoff up the middle for Madison. This is not Miller. This is Wheeler. And
look
Wheeler's
at Wheeler
going to cut back.
Wheeling.
That looked like a Tecmo run.
It was. He zigzagged and boom, there it is.
To the end zone he goes. Easily done. Is that an 18-yard touchdown run, would you say, Chris?
Yep, there it is. So we got a pair of touchdown runs from Madison, 22 yards and an 18-yarder. Wheeler.
We have only played a minute and 38 seconds. This is getting ugly really, really fast. Substitution a little late getting in to get the extra point team up. But they've got everybody on the field now as Alden Graham gets them lined up with Gavin Johnson, the quarterback, holding. Extra point is up. Extra point is good.
There it is, Joe.
Chris, I'd ask you what adjustments Gamble needs to make. I mean, we're very early in this game, and they just simply look like they're manhandled.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they were able to actually even try and figure out what to do after the loss from New Miami, but looks like they're kind of shell-shocked right now in terms of getting something going.
Chris, I've not seen you publish yet the pick'em for this week.
Yes.
It's coming tomorrow night?
It'll be coming tomorrow night. I believe everybody did pick Madison today.
I don't know that I did.
Oh, you
don't know that I did.
Uh-oh.
Which means the Madison Mohawks are going to completely pants me 2 weeks in a row, and they might give me the world.
Boy, those kids from Edgewood got mad at us.
Did they get mad?
Oh, they got mad at us.
They got mad at us for picking the #1 seed from Division I last year to beat them at home?
Milford.
I don't know why you'd get mad at that if they were the #1 seed undefeated in Division I.
It was Edgewood's Barstool Sports account.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Short little pooch kick here. And this is going to be fielded on a hop. Oh, man. That looks like that might be Mabry. We're thinking that's Mabry is number 3. Or is that number, let's see here, that's number 9. That'd be Mohamed Traore with the return there for the Gators. We haven't played much, Chris. We still have not played 2 minutes yet.
But it also feels like probably Gamble's played a lot so far.
This is the 4th possession of the game already. 2 each way. 25-yard line to start off for the Gators. Here at Willard Stargell Stadium, the relocated high school football stadium has moved catty corner across the street.
Yeah, I didn't know that, Joe, until you told me today.
Shotgun formation for Bankhead, and Bankhead's going to keep it himself up the middle. Brought down by Tanner Waddle and company on defense for the Mohawks. It's a modest gain. Gamble will take that. 2nd down and 6. If they can do that every single play.
Yep.
They can get all the way down the field and take off 10 minutes and end the quarter this way.
Absolutely, right, hey, Joe? Easier said than done, right, Joe?
I know, but that's what they got to be thinking right there.
Right. And typically that's Madison's offense right there.
Ground and
boom,
pound.
boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I respect a good ground and pound game.
Yep.
People hate playing me in Madden for that reason.
And at this point, it's really hard to come by anymore, Joel.
A lot of people running the spread.
Yep.
Trips receivers to the left side of the formation here. I think we might have an offside receiver. And a timeout being called by the Gators. That was Tyrone Haffer that was lined up about 1.5 yards in front of the football, trying to get to the line of scrimmage. Gamble's coaching staff sees that, wisely realizes they have to, as the old John Fox Carolina Panthers teams would say.
At this point, not at all. I think Gamble made the right call there. Let's take advantage of that 4-yard gain that they got on 1st down, and, you don't want to go backwards. You don't want to go backwards. Well, so, Joe, you're heading down south.
I am
starting
heading down
tomorrow.
south. That's right. I'm going to head on down. I don't have tickets to the college games yet. I'm going to, but I may stop in Knoxville Saturday to see Rocky Top or stop in Tuscaloosa Saturday to see Bama. I don't know which one I'll
Saturday,
go and see.
I'm heading to watch Northwestern Miami
you're going
up in Chicago. Yep.
They're going to play at a very, very tiny stadium from what I understand.
Yeah,
yes?
they're doing some manufacturing over there, some maintenance, and they're going to play it.
Ryan Field has been basically abandoned for the time being as they regain everything.
Was it a couple years ago, a while back? Didn't they play their home games at Soldier Field for a split second?
I'm trying to remember if they did. I know the Bears played their home games in Champaign at one point in time.
Oh yeah,
when
yeah,
they
when they were redoing it. Yep. But hey, why not Soldier Field open that stadium?
Well, yeah,
up
for Northwestern.
Absolutely.
Would they get a crowd to play the Miami Redhawks? I don't know.
Miami will travel.
Miami will travel. Second down and 6. And this is Notstead.
I'm trying to
a
figure out.
A different runner.
I don't know if something was supposed to develop there, Joel, or not, but sniffed out by the Madison Mohawk defense.
Looks like the runner is number 8. This is the second Gamble player that we do not have on our roster tonight. And the Madison coaching staff is as clueless as we are up here next to us. Who are these people? We're going to start giving them Tecmo name, like RB Gators, right?
Running back Gators, yes, I love it.
Number 8, who's number 8? So we have a 3rd down and 10 now for Gamble Montessori. Once again, 8 in at quarterback. We don't have an 8, and 3 in at running back. We don't have a 3. And 3 is going to take this. And that's Mabry. And 10 as Gamble tries to figure out the roster with us. Folks, you're hearing how the sausage is made, right? The punter, Wellbrock, the big 320-pound punter. It's kind of like the Jared Lorenzen of punters, right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. R.I.P. Jared Lorenzen.
Terrible snap. Wellbrock is going to fall on top of this thing. Technically no tackle for Preston Buchanan, who was the one that jumped on top of him because he was already down. And Madison, well, they had a 35-yard field. They had an 18-yard field. And now the Mohawks are going to have a 15-yard field. Not the way you draw it up for the Gators.
No, it really isn't. But if you're Gamble Montessori, you get to figure out what your defense is made all about here today.
Sorry, correction, not a 15-yard field, a 13-yard field for Madison. 1st and 10 as Wheeler, the running back, in the backfield along with Johnson. This is a end-around handoff to Miller. And Miller is untouched for 13 more yards into the end zone. No problem, Chris.
Yeah, Miller's going to rack him up a payday here. We're going to get him some Player of the Week nominations coming up here.
Madison has run 4 offensive plays. They've not thrown the ball, and they got 3 rushing touchdowns.
Joel, I don't think you're going to see a single pass today from Madison.
And why would you?
Not at all.
The kicker.
Good old Alden
Graham. Remember Shane Graham for the Bengals?
Absolutely. He was really good.
He was really good. I don't know if you've got Golden Graham here necessarily, but Graham's kick
he ate his Golden Grahams.
Good.
Yeah, talked with Nick Graham, photographer for the Journal News. Alden did not decide to play the soccer this year and said, I'm just going to solely concentrate on making them extra points. And he's got 3 of them today, doesn't he?
There you go. He's
playing defense,
as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, got a lot of people going both ways there.
I'll tell you what, I've got to give soccer players the credit, man. They're doing some of them do the Friday night thing, and then they do the soccer gig.
I remember back when I was in high school reading about an athlete who was at Ross.
Yeah.
And Journal News did an article on him.
Rick Casano?
I don't know. It might have been Casano. I forget who wrote it. You would ask that question. But the athlete in question was attempting to get 3 varsity letters in one season. And it was a soccer player who was playing varsity soccer, practicing with the soccer team during the week and playing the games, and then would be loaned out to the football team on Friday night to place kick, and then would run cross country on Saturday morning.
Love it.
And so he got 3 varsity letters in one season. Very impressive.
Mad props.
Mad props indeed.
Looks Joel, we've got 7:35 on the clock, too.
Yeah, we've only played 4.5 minutes, and it's 21-0. And we have an offsides called. Madison's going to have to re-kick this. Beautiful little squib kick, though. It fell dead at the 11-yard line. All for naught in this case. Ball will be moved back to the 35-yard line as Madison will have another go at it. What's your take on all of this, Chris? Is Gamble struggling that much? Was Preble Shawnee that good last week? Is Madison just inexperienced and trying to navigate their world? What are you seeing?
I'm thinking that Madison's a different form of football team than what New Miami is. I'm just going to come out and say it. We'll say that in terms of what Gamble saw last week.
Yep.
In terms of what Madison saw last week, Preble Shawnee, hey, you know what? Madison may be pissed. Madison may be pissed, but at the same time, I've heard Preble Shawnee's got a pretty doggone good team as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, Preble Shawnee had a good season last year, too. Here comes a deeper kickoff over the head. Traore's got to run back and catch at the 15-yard line. Traore trying to find a seam. And this is going to be Gamble's best starting field position.
Yeah, I was going to say, not only the best start, but that was actually the best play of the day for Gamble.
They're going to have the ball at the 30-yard line now as they try to dig their heels into this game a little bit more. I think Gamble Montessori probably must have been snake bit by New Miami last week. They had beaten New Miami here on this field 56-6 the year before. And then going from that to losing. I mean, both of these teams had some very rude awakenings last weekend. And week one opponents that they had beaten that now they lost to by big numbers.
Been in contact with a couple of New Miami players after their game, and I said, "Hey guys, stay level-headed too. Like,
That's
don't,
right.
Don't
Don't celebrate. You got Manchester this week.
Yep, and they can throw the ball. I was looking them up. They were throwing the heck out of the ball against Pendleton County.
By the way, Chris Vogt, how about it if you would have had your money on the fact that we have a number 1 versus number 2 in the region matchup? New Miami at Manchester this weekend.
Is it really?
They're number 1 versus number 2. Of course, the Harbin ratings, there's no second-level points for anybody right now. But New Miami beat a Division IV school, and so they're number 2 in the rankings. Manchester, I believe, beat a Division III Kentucky equivalent. So they've got the most points right now. We'll look at all that at halftime when we get there. Stay with us, folks.
The number 1 halftime show.
The number 1 halftime show in all the land. This week with audio.
Yes. Hey,
it happens, Chris. It happens.
Week 1, you got to get back into the groove.
Working out the bugs.
That was on your producer.
It happens, man. It happens. A passing play. Bankhead attempts a pass to Diagora, and it's going to be out his outstretched arms for an incomplete pass.
Hey, the play was there, Joel.
It was there. Good play design.
Yep.
The thing you hate about that for Gamble is it stops the clock.
Yeah.
And the way that you'd love to take a big chunk of time off, give your defense a little time to rest maybe.
Yep.
Try to feel like you're getting some momentum into the game, and you can't do that if you're going to be a quick 3 and out.
Right.
So we had the penalty, we had the incomplete pass, and after all that, it is 2nd down and 15, and a stopped clock at 7 minutes and 19 seconds remaining in the first quarter here in West End, Cincinnati, right by St. Joseph's, Ezra Charles.
The beautiful backdrop over here in downtown.
We have trips receivers to the left side of the formation and a running back. That's Mabry up the middle. He is tripped, just barely tripped up, it looks like.
Got himself about a 9-yard gain, Joel.
Yeah. Trying to give Madison a little credit for that tackle if he turns around there. Is that 26 or 28? 26 it is. That's Landon Atkins with the tackle.
Are we looking at 3rd down?
3rd down and 6.
Yeah, that was a good run to set them up for at least a reasonable 3rd down play for them to try and pick this up.
Productive offensive play, and Gamble needs more of that.
Everybody's lined down over here on the left side. Trips left, single right.
Hand off to Mabry, back up the middle, and that one's not going to be nearly so good. The nose tackle, Bryant Tinch, the senior, wraps him up and falls backwards with him. And now we'll see if Gamble Montessori can get a punt off, because they did not last time.
Ended up hitting the ground in the knee of big boy number 77. Me and Dan's got Talawanda Fenwick next week.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, yep.
Up at Jaeger.
Up at Jaeger, yep. We're excited for that.
That'll be very exciting.
Tried to convince him to let us stream, but they put up a huddle and they want to run it.
They want to run behind the paywall, huh?
Yeah.
We'll see a little shorter formation there And the punt is up in the air this time for Wellbrook.
Everybody's getting away.
It's going to bounce and be downed by King McCrary down the field. And Madison is going to run the very first play of scrimmage from their side of the field.
Yep.
It's the start of the 7th possession of the game, going back and forth. And finally, we have a play that starts on the left side of the 50.
At least give the defense an opportunity on Gamble Montessori's side to try and do something.
That's right.
Prove themselves at least.
Well, Madison has run 4 plays. They've got 3 rushing touchdowns. They've had no problem, and many of those plays, their running back hasn't even been touched.
Nope.
1st and 10 for the Mohawks at their own 47-yard line. We're down below 6 minutes left to go in the first quarter of play. Kind of a tight formation here for Madison, only 1 wide receiver. Ethan Ketchum on the end. This is going to be a handoff instead to Miller, who's running off tackle, and a major face mask penalty. And I hope Miller is okay there because he got beheaded essentially on that run.
Shoo. Unfortunately, you're right. He does have to come out, but not on his.
I mean, Chris,
it wasn't his fault.
We are both Baden Rams, and if you check the Roman Catholic calendar, today, August 29th, is the feast of the beheading of St. John the Baptist. Well, I don't know that that's what the defense was going for there.
That's not what it was.
But the head is still attached. The face mask, the helmet went flying about 5 yards off the field.
Now, Joel, is that a 15-yard penalty?
That should be a 15-yard penalty, and it should be tacked on to the end of the run. There's the personal foul face mask signal, and so much for the ball being on the left side of the 50-yard line.
Right.
As we're going to march off 15 yards post-run there, and hopefully Caleb Miller's just a little bit shaken up and is going to be okay on the other side of that thing.
I'd imagine he'll put his helmet back on and say, let's go.
That's why they do all those neck exercises back in training camp.
He's a Madison Mohawk, baby.
That's right. That's right. A Madison Mohawk that done got scalped.
Yeah,
First and 10 for Madison at the 32-yard line. Handoff. Might technically be a passing play if the statistician gives him credit. And there's going to be a flag. He's going to go into the end zone. That's Will Sturgis, but this is not going to count because we're going to have a penalty on Madison back behind this play. A block in the back, it looks like.
There it is.
That's going to be on Michael Burke, number 7, who tried to spring him.
You always wonder, is this too good to be true, Joel? Is that play too good to be true?
Well, that's a tricky one to stat because if he lets go of the ball as it goes into the guy's hand, then it's technically a passing play.
Ew. Yeah, we just saw the replay up here in the Madison Mohawks booth, and I don't know.
You don't love the call?
I don't know.
I wasn't watching. I didn't catch a good look at it.
I think the play
the player was already past the block?
The slight push was after the play.
Inconsequential.
Right.
So then if you want to play contrarian, the question becomes, why do it?
Yeah, right. Exactly. You're right.
He's already passed you.
You're right. 100%.
First down and 14 because it's marked off from the downfield spot. So a very strange 1st and 14 scenario for the Mohawks. We've still not even played 7 minutes yet. And this is a play action, a rollout, and Chris, we're going to see a pass play after all. And that is Caleb Miller, who's going to catch it and
run.
Get in
the end zone?
And it looks like the referees are going to spot him at the 1. All right. Coach Pop decided, you know what, let's go ahead and throw the ball. Why not?
You know what? When you're a Madison Mohawk offense, that play action pass is going to work probably 95%.
If the other team is expecting you to run every play, definitely a way to keep them loose and give them some, and that's going to open up your run again because now the defense has to think about it.
Right.
Although here I assume this is going to be brute force and blunt object probably into the end zone.
Boom.
Gavin Johnson under center, lining up at fullback is Wheeler right behind him. And this is going to be instead a handoff to the tailback.
Boom.
And that is
34.
Tanner Waddle. Is that 24 or 34? 34. Okay, I stand corrected. Logan Mason, the senior, gets the touchdown for the Mohawks, who are piling on early on in this one.
Is this going to be a statement half for Madison? Probably. I mean,
it already is.
Yeah, it already is. You're wanting to bounce back as best you can from last week. Not sure how much we can preach that.
Alden Graham. Kick is up. Kick is good. And the Mohawks have a 28-0 lead. Easy does it here.
Yeah.
I mean, this has not been complicated in any way, shape, or form.
No, it hasn't. And I guess at this point, you may be Madison. You may be finding out, hey, what will work for us, what won't work for us. Start tinkering with some things. If you're Gamble Montessori, you're just hoping your kids just stay in the game and not quit and play.
Well, and I've been on both ends of this in basketball coaching, and I can tell you that I never quit coaching. Leading, trailing, whatever.
Yeah.
If you're leading, it's can you get everybody to score? Can you work on your fundamentals? Can
Right.
you try something you never tried before? So translate that to football. You can see some different looks, I'm sure, from Madison. Let's try some stuff out. Let's put some stuff on tape. Let's see how this ends up working or not. Gamble, the same idea. When you're trailing by this many points this early and the writing's on the wall as to what this is going to be, well, what can you work on? What can you get better at? Can you improve?
Yeah, and also look at it from this side of the coin there, Joel, as well. If you're Madison, it's almost like, oh gosh, we wanted to, we wanted to be tested a little bit too. And unfortunately for Madison at this point, you may not learn a lot from this game either.
Very difficult. Very difficult. Here is the kickoff. On a line drive. Toward the sideline.
It didn't.
Stays in bounds. Traore is going to be tracked down inside his own 10-yard line. This is just getting worse for Gamble here. My goodness.
Could that have had an opportunity to get into the end zone? I don't know, Joel. It looked like it was taking a turn.
Yikes. Yikes. So
Joel,
Gamble's not going to work. Go ahead, Chris.
You got some other games that are playing right now?
Oh, getting the halftime show ready, of course. There's a few other games going on a Friday night or a Thursday night. Friday night's going to have a much busier schedule tomorrow and even harder to keep track of as far as who is starting when.
Right.
A hodgepodge of different start times around the state, and some games being moved back to 8 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night.
Yeah, I was going to take my buddy Gavin, my son, with me to our game, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
Late, huh?
A little later than usual.
Just an hour. Come on, Dad. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it is the weekend. We'll see.
First down and 10 from the 8-yard line. Long throw. Interceptable. And intercepted. The safety, Devin Lindsay, was hanging back there. Playing top safety on the play. And
yep, did what he had to do.
I mean, here's the ball, and let's go ahead and make a play on it, and that's real simple. And Madison starts their 5th possession of the game and their 4th one inside their opponent's 40-yard line. Huge field position advantage for Madison as they're piling on touchdowns, but they're not really piling on yards.
No, they're not. It's the mere fact that they're starting their possessions at the 35-yard line or inside it.
First and 10 for the Mohawks at the 35-yard line. They've got a couple receivers out to the right side or left side of the screen. We'll see if they send one in motion. A quick little pass to Miller. And Miller, they decided late, but they decided that it was a forward pass, so therefore incomplete. I agree with that call.
Yeah, it looked like a yard in front of him, so yeah.
Little late whistle there. Chris, when we get to the halftime show, I got a little news for you.
Uh-oh.
This is not the only ugly game being played tonight, I can tell you this. All of the ugly ones have come out.
How many games playing tonight, Joel?
Well, games that affect our regions, there are 5 of them, including this one.
Okay.
There are some other games up in Columbus and Cleveland don't really affect anything down here in the southwest corner of the state. But here is a handoff, and that is Wheeler. And Wheeler bouncing off Gators. And pushing them all the way to the 15-yard line.
That's just a matter of just finding a hole and going and just hoping nobody catches you. And Gamble ended up catching him about 15, 20 yards down the field.
First and 10 for Madison. At the 16.
All right, let's see if Gamble can buckle down here and
handoff. This goes to Caleb Miller. And Miller is going to get about a 9-yard gain on this. Very impressive.
Hey, you think he's heard, is it Miller time yet?
I think so.
Yeah, he probably
I think so. I think the offensive line for Madison is playing really, really well.
Yeah.
Gamble not putting up much resistance, but Madison is locked in and making sure that they don't get any false ideas.
No, I haven't seen it. Well, we haven't seen anything less than a 5-yard game from Madison.
It is a first down and goal. They gave him 10 yards on that carry.
Looks like we're going to timeout, Joel.
What have we here? An equipment issue, so Gamble's got to send a guy off the field. Looks like that 85. Is that 65? 65 coming off for Gamble. Joel. That's Reggie Golden, the defensive tackle. So now Gamble gets even lighter on the defensive line now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's an equipment problem. I think 65 is not feeling too well, Joel.
I wouldn't either if I'm playing this Madison offense. Tricky running play there for Madison. I'm trying to look and see who scored that, Chris.
Yeah, Joel, if I had tried to move the camera, I had actually been tricked on that.
Quarterback keeper for Gavin Johnson
Daylight.
for a 4-yard touchdown run.
Well,
we don't have a running clock in the first half.
No, we won't. No,
we'd already be there.
Well, I'm thinking that Gamble on that play was just making sure that they weren't going to let anything up the middle, and then that's what happens when you're concentrating on that. Then boom, there it is outside. That Waynesville game would affect us at all?
Waynesville will definitely affect. Yeah. Madison has a really rooting interest in that game, depending on how they do with Waynesville later on this year. Extra point is up.
Good.
Extra point is good.
Alden Graham.
So we'll go ahead and send this one out over Twitter as well. Gavin Johnson, the quarterback, with a 4-yard touchdown run. And we have 3:02 still remaining and a most unmerciful first quarter, as the poor Gamble Montessori Gators are getting chomped.
I see what you did there, Joel.
Hello, Morgan, in case you're watching.
So, yeah, Joel, so when TQL was built, they moved Stargell over, so they probably just kept and resurfaced everything as they shifted over it?
A lot of this stuff looks fairly original. I don't know if they redid anything.
Right.
Or if they moved the physical stuff from the one place to the other place. The stands certainly look familiar.
Mm-hmm.
We are now facing south from the press box. We used to be facing east from the press box.
Right.
As we looked, it was right behind the Taft High School, and you see the Taft High School behind you on the corner there.
Yeah, you know what?
Fans, you can't. I don't know if you can see that or not, because your camera's facing the field there, but right behind us to our left is Taft High School, and then TQL Stadium behind there, which is the old site of the old Stargell Stadium. This could be a busy stadium this weekend. I believe there are 5 games being played here this weekend.
Yeah, I was actually gonna talk to you about that. I think they do the best they can to make sure that all the CPS schools are at least getting their home games on this stadium, right? Which is why we're playing a Thursday
night game. Because there's a Friday night game, and I believe there are 3 on Saturday, a noon, a 3 p.m., and a 7 p.m. here.
You got to do what you got to do.
So if you really, really like Cincinnati public school football, come out on Saturday, and you'll see 3 games. A flag down. There is a potential fumble, I think. And an injured Gator now getting up a little bit slowly. That was Traore. And we'll see what this flag is for. It was a very, very big hit for the Mohawks.
Yeah.
I think in the NFL they do have a penalty for too good of a play on the defense, and that might have been that.
Mm-hmm.
Referees are definitely talking about this. Did they see a face mask or something? Because I don't know that I saw anything illegal.
I don't know, the hit being malicious or... Oh, it was on Gamble.
But they got 2 hands on that. A block in the back should only be 1 hand on that signal, I would think. Clearly was not pass interference, which is what that...
So that was a fumble, right, Joel?
Well, it looks like Madison's got the ball on the fumble. Yep. Yeah. My goodness. This is getting really, really ugly. And we've only played 9 minutes and 7 seconds. And now we have a timeout called by Gamble to regroup and refocus the guys. I have traditionally hated running clocks. That has been my normal mode of operation. And it was,
what do you think about this?
Yeah, that's where I'm going with this comment, Chris.
Yeah.
You know, when we started calling a couple of new Miami games a few years ago, and you see there's only 15 players that are dressed, and you don't have bench warmers that you can put in, and you are risking injuries to key components of your team in very, very large margins. That was the thing that kind of like, okay, maybe for Division 7, maybe for Division 6, I can see it. And I might go ahead and grant an exception for this one as well, because they used to have, back in the day, they used to have a running clock rule that was optional. I don't know if you knew this or not.
Didn't know that.
It was not an official it will be done thing.
Just because, say, hey, if the losing team wants to try and get some work done.
But if the losing team is down by so much and they're demoralized, and it's like, okay, then the coaches could have for his 350th win was a 42-0 win, I believe, over Meadowdale. And that was a running clock second half where it was so lopsided by halftime, everybody just kind of wanted to go home and just end the thing.
350 for Terry Malone there.
He ended up with, I think, 360-something.
Yeah, he did.
Handoff. This is going to be Matt Wheeler. And the senior running back. A lot of senior skill players for Madison. So while they did lose a lot of experience from last year's team, they have reloaded with seniors, a lot of them. 2nd down and 6 for the Mohawks, who are in absolute and total command of this ball game.
Yep.
What you looking at over there, Chris Vogt?
I'm getting ready to talk about some of the games that are happening this weekend once we hit the end of this quarter. So.
Kind of makes sense.
Yep.
2nd down and 6. Handoff. End around Will Sturgis. And the tight end is going to now punch it into the end zone for a 22-yard touchdown.
That was Logan Mason.
Oh, 34, it's Mason again. That poor kid, I've missed his number twice on those. Logan Mason it is. It's 34, not 84.
Joe, we are high atop Stargell Stadium.
We are far away. That's right. We still have 2 minutes and 3 seconds left to go in the first quarter.
41 zip. It's a 41-minute half if you're going, or 41-minute quarter if you're going to go real time.
Kick is up.
Man's good.
Kick is good. 42-0. Chris, I picked Madison last week, and I picked them to lose this week. And so far, the scoreboard, I am down 94-0 on those 2 picks through 5 quarters of play. Don't put any money on it. That's exactly right.
Well, here's it. So just meet it in the middle next week, huh?
Can Madison play a close game with anybody, please? Be much more interesting that way.
All right, so let's go ahead and Blanchester is traveling to Madison for, is that Madison's first home game?
Yes, their home game against Blanchester next week.
And I couldn't tell you a dang thing about what Blanchester's all about.
Well, Blanchester is 0-1. They've had some good teams in the past, but they've not been as great in recent years.
Yeah.
They started off 0-1, and last week they had a loss, 28-14 to the Paint Valley Bearcats. They're way out east.
Oh, so Blanchester's played Cincinnati
Country Day
next week.
And that would be
tomorrow.
Tomorrow night on the road. I think Cincinnati Country Day should be favored in that game.
Yeah.
But, of course, anybody that's a Madison fan listen to me, you know that don't believe anything I say on predictions.
Yeah. Are you like the Mel Kiper of actually, no.
Well, you know what? I finished 9-4 last week. It could be worse. I could be Dan Vogt.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Poor Dan.
3 or what?
He was 3-10 last week. He was. He did not have a very good. Now, he was at Fenway Park last Friday night. After a very, very long, meandering, squibbling kickoff, Amir Brown can do nothing more than cover the ball up and secure possession. This is getting bad, Chris.
So you look at it this way. I'm not for certain if we should really dissect or judge what New Miami did to Gamble last week. So
doesn't make New Miami look quite as strong, does it?
Well, I guess we
still a good win for them.
Say that, but at the
win.
same time, you're right. It is a good win. You get off the snide, get a little momentum,
little confidence,
get the kids all riled up in the village.
And now they're playing on the road at Manchester.
Yep.
First down and 10.
Which, if you're New Miami, I'd say get that pass defense ready to roll. High snap.
Here is a scramble out wide and in the backfield and wrapped up. Bankhead had absolutely nowhere to go on the play.
Little QB waggle, Joel. Couldn't find anything. Maybe a QB waggle sneak.
Johnson on the tackle for Madison. Is it Julianye? Julian. Silent Y, silent E at the end of the name. Johnson with the tackle in the backfield, a sack for the Mohawks as Gamble is being pushed back, but at least mercifully the clock is running after a running play that got tackled in bounds.
I guess my daughter doesn't know where I'm at, Joel. She said, can you go get me a Diet Coke from the fridge, please, like a kind gentleman you are?
Tell her to wait for a couple hours, and you'll be there.
I'll take a picture, and I'll send where I'm at.
That's it.
There we go.
Kumoni Bankhead gets some positive yardage. And so we're going to have a third down now for Gamble. Under a minute left to go in the, yes, you heard it right, folks, first quarter of play. 42-0 the score as the Mohawks basically just exerting their will, playing this game on beginner level, I think.
Yeah, it's almost like 49ers playing against the Colts in
Tecmo.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like. That's exactly what it looks like. Third down, we'll see if
good play.
Quarterback dive there for Bankhead, and he's going to be wrapped up. He's going to get half the yardage.
Well, I mean, Joel, you got to go for it.
Well, this is going to end the first quarter, so you got time to think about it.
4th and 3 once we come out of the break.
And, well, I mean, here's the thing. You can punt, but you've already failed to get off one punt. You could go for it. It's only 3 yards, but your offense is definitely averaging less than 3 yards per play.
It's already 42-0.
It's already 42-0.
You got to go for it.
Yeah. If you punt it, it's not like your defense has stopped them or shown any sign of stopping them, really.
Right. All right, Joel, this coming week, and you're gonna miss out on a good week of action.
2 good weeks of action, but tell me what's going on this week.
Good. Yeah, but this week, Joel, DeSales, St. Francis DeSales comes down here, plays Baden. What are your
I saw that game last year. Dan Conway and I had that game together up there in DeSales.
Yeah, up there, you're right.
Here's the thing. Baden won that game last year 10-6. It was not easy.
Yeah.
It was 6-0 DeSales late in that game.
I remember watching that.
Not easy.
Yeah.
And that was with Baden having all of those starters. They lost 10 of their 11 offensive starters on that team.
So what are you going to say? It's not going to be easy again.
It's not going to be easy again. Yeah. And DeSales' quarterback last year was a freshman who was making his second career start. Yep. His last name? Day.
Day. Yeah, it's Ryan Day's son.
Ryan Day's son up there in Columbus. He's, of course, Ryan Day, the coach of Ohio State, sends his son to St. Francis DeSales.
Right
so this is not going to be an easy matchup for Baden by any stretch. And DeSales lost their first game this year.
Yeah.
So they're going to be a little ticked off.
Springboro at Edgewood. Edgewood's got to bounce back some way. I'm thinking that they're going to bounce back, possibly. We'll see what's going on. First home game of the season. Springboro.
Edgewood, as we said, has scheduled the most difficult schedule.
They do.
Their schedule is harder than Hamilton's or Lakota West's by all the metrics.
Yep. And you know what? Maybe it'll come out to benefit them down the road.
You know, they're going to get really tough.
Fairfield at Coleraine. I think Fairfield's going to bounce back, play Coleraine pretty well. Colerane's had it down a couple seasons. The Bolden effect. Bolden leaves. Coleraine sucks.
Coleraine has had a real rough
Let's just
go.
Go ahead and just call a spade a spade.
It may not get any easier with Fairfield coming in. Fairfield hung around Wayne for a while last week, but didn't hang on long enough.
Wayne's so athletic.
Oh,
they got an athletic program.
GWAC is a strong conference.
Yep.
Fourth, we'll see the punter back there, and that is Wellbrock. And he gets the punt off. End-over-end kick. It's going to bounce and take a hop there, and it's fielded. Daring play by Caleb Miller to field that off the hop and just take it out of bounds and keep it on his side of the 50-yard line.
He's feeling pretty confident today. He was confident in his hands.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. What was it? Was it Freddie Mitchell back in the day for the Eagles who said, "I'd like to thank my hands"?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a good kickoff. He was a good returner, wasn't he?
He was, and a wide receiver. Yeah, that's right.
So we've got Talawanda. Dan and I've got Talawanda and Fenwick. I think that's going to be. I think Talawanda's really starting to come around with Andy Stuckert, and then you got the main.
Circle back to that momentarily because I think you'll be interested in hearing what Dan and I were talking about. Handoff up the middle, untouched for 15 yards. Finally, Miller stripped, loses the ball, but you might have a flag on Gamble for a horse collar. We'll see. The ball is picked up by Traore. The flag was thrown around the same time the beanbag was thrown, and I don't think the Gamble fans are going to be so happy with the outcome of this, but we'll see. The back judge here, it was a very awkward-looking tackle of Caleb Miller. And we'll see what the back judge tells the referee. So, yes, Chris, you were at that Fenwick-Franklin game last week, correct?
Yes.
And what's so interesting is that Franklin won that game as we have the personal foul and the horse collar tackle, and that's going to be a first down for Madison. They're going to keep possession of the ball. Franklin scored 3 touchdowns in that game.
Yep.
Fenwick scored 2 touchdowns in that game, and Franklin won the game by 2 possessions.
Yep.
Really cool stuff. Teams that don't do a lot with the 2-point conversion. Franklin punching the ball down Fenwick's throat when it was 7-7, gets the touchdown, decides to go for 2. They're up 15-7. Fenwick, of course, when they do score and rally late, unable to get the 2-point conversion, it's 15-13. And then when Franklin's able to stick the knife in and end the thing and kick the extra point, here they've only scored 1 more touchdown than Fenwick did, but they're up by 9.
Yep.
Game over.
You and I had talked about that last week after it happened, and Matt Muncy, that was a Matt Muncy call. Matt Muncy saying, look, we're gonna get this thing back on the road. We're gonna win this game. However, we're gonna win it. And
it's something you don't see very often.
Right. And
most everybody kicks extra points at all times.
I'm surprised you don't see it often.
It's interesting. It's the road less traveled for sure. So they had to go all the way back to the spot of the foul and then mark off the 15 additional yards. So, sorry, Gamble Montessori, you are not getting the ball in Madison field position after all. Instead, Madison is basically in the red zone here as they're trying to hang half 100 on the Gators.
In the first half.
Barely into the second quarter. 11:30 left to go, and now the clock stops as Gamble spends their last time out of half number 1.
All right, Joel, let's do some more talking about next week.
Let's do it.
So we talked about that Talawanda Fenwick game. I think it's going to be a wonderful game. Both programs are coming off of, okay losses. I wouldn't say that those weren't. Taylor beat 21-7 over Talawanda last week. Taylor probably put up a good fight against Talawanda, but
hard to say how good Taylor's going to end up being. Cincinnati Hills League, Taylor has been. I think the young people now call it mid.
Yeah,
I've learned that phrase. mid, right? Janet probably uses that term, I would imagine, at home,
You're
right?
Being mid,
Taylor's been in the middle of that conference. They've not been Indian Hill or Wyoming, but they've also not been Finneytown either. So,
all right, well, Muncie's going to welcome in Marion Local.
Oh, gosh.
So let's see what.
Oh, gosh.
I think Franklin will learn a lot from that game.
That's a very nice way of saying that.
Yeah.
Marion Local is as good as about anybody in the state at the Division VII level.
When Marion Local played New Miami, was it?
You were there a few years ago.
That
was a pretty decent New Miami team.
They were really good.
Not compared to Marion Local, they weren't.
And Marion Local shuts down. The entire city shuts down. It's pretty wild.
Maria Stein, baby. They have been in the state finals 10 of the last 11 years.
They're the winningest program in Ohio history, I believe.
Handoff. That is to Mason. I got your name right, sir.
Hey!
Logan Mason with the touchdown.
Flag. But yeah, Marion Local has the most state championships in Ohio history.
And it's interesting because they go up and down to Division 6 and Division 7, and it really doesn't matter. We're already running clock. They've got ahead personal foul on Madison. Hang on. This may not stand as a touchdown. We'll see what happens. They've got 48 on the scoreboard.
Yep.
It might be a post-play infraction.
Yeah, I saw the flag go up after he crossed the goal line.
Okay. So Logan Mason is going to get credit for a 19-yard touchdown run. The clock now continues to run. I've never seen a running clock this early, Chris.
Well, maybe it's one of those things that the OHSAA kind of changed. Yeah, right.
Bad snap.
Yep.
Got to go for 2 now.
You think so?
He might get it. And he's in. Gavin Johnson. On a bad snap. Gavin Johnson runs it in for 2.
That'll hit a.
And they have had half 100.
Hit the half a century mark there, huh?
Wow, 50-0. They've not put the 2 points on the scoreboard yet, but that's coming. Running clock in the second quarter. Early in the second quarter. What are the games you're seeing over there, Chris, that pique your interest?
Yeah, sorry, I got a message. Good old Ken Ritchie from New Miami said, hey, I'm not coaching. I'll help you if you need any help. So I'm going to have to bring Ken Ritchie on for his expertise.
There we go.
All right, so we've got Hamilton at Lakota West. I think that's going to be a favorite on Lakota West's end. I think
it will. Hamilton's going to put up a fight, though.
They will. It won't be like it was last year. I think Hamilton was barking a lot before the game last year, and that's when I ended up miking.
They felt pretty good about themselves.
I mic'd up Tom Bolden. It was probably one of the best mic-ups I've ever had. My entire
Bolden's
reporting
always good
career.
For a great clip, isn't he?
So he got them riled up. 42-12, game over. So I think Lakota West is going to look to be favored on that one. I think Mason Lakota East is going to be a wonderful game. I think it's going to turn out to be a good game. Lakota East is really making strides the last 2 years with Kitna. His son JT Kitna is looking as advertised. I think last year he was still developing, and he's looking good.
I was very, very impressed by watching Kitna. I got to see him for the first time in person last week, and fantastic.
Yeah, what about talking to his dad? I mean, talking to John, he's a low-key, down-to-earth guy, and you can tell.
Really, really nice. Dan Conway and I prayed with him on the field before
the
game,
you said that was pretty
awesome.
Neat.
Really, really good. Great memory there. So our clock continues to count down as we're under 8 minutes now in the second quarter. Madison starting from their 25-yard line on this kickoff after the 15-yard penalty. And that's going to be kicked out of bounds. So I'd imagine this ball probably goes to midfield maybe. Where they continue the 15-yard penalty after this. We'll see exactly how this works in high school football, Chris.
Well, I'll move the camera right there. All right, Joel, and then Mason Lakota East. Hard telling that game. Middletown.
I actually picked Lakota East in that game. I don't know if anybody else did or not.
I've got Lakota East as well.
Okay.
Oak Hill's at Middletown. I think Middletown's playing extremely well. I think that was a statement win against Troy.
Mm-hmm.
Clee Jones has his program looking nice.
And early on, he was the coach of Withrow, correct?
Yes, he was, yep.
So he's
last 2 years. Or last 3 years.
He's had a lot of success. Withrow plays everybody.
Yep, they don't care.
Have you seen Withrow's schedule this year?
Is it pretty wicked?
They've got Elder. They played already last week. They got St. X on their schedule and Alter still on their schedule.
I love it.
Got 3 of the big name Catholic schools.
I love it. Well, I mean, and you're looking at the GCL South. It's like, well, Withrow's probably going to win too. We'll take some of those points.
Only problem is if all of them beat Withrow, then maybe not so much.
Right.
But yes, that's the idea. Is Withrow plays I think, a CMAC schedule the second half of the year, so their second half of their schedule gets a lot easier with matchups against teams like Taft and Western Hills and Hughes, teams that they would be much more favored to beat. Ball is at midfield.
Best field position all day for the old Gators.
We'll see what Gamble's able to do with this. 6 minutes left to go. We've barely snapped the ball this quarter. And there is a handoff. That goes to Mabry. Mabry, this is strung out. And Madison brings him down.
Yeah, Mabry played that perfectly, made sure he wasn't going to get outside of him. That's what you're supposed to do when you're a corner.
Zach Rumpking was the one. Rumping brought him way out, stretched that way wide, and made the tackle. 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Second down for Gamble.
In between plays, Joe, I'm not for certain if we'll have a lot of time to talk about these games here coming up.
Quarter's going to end real quickly with this running clock, isn't it?
Wyoming at Monroe. Monroe. Boy.
Good first win. Don't know how good Goshen is.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they were 3-7 last year, so it's hard to. Both programs were, I believe.
Yeah. But Monroe's got Coach Mueller from Fenwick.
Fenwick, yep.
So I'm sure they are looking up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feeling pretty good about themselves after the first week.
Yep.
Second down and 15 for the Gators. Ball is thrown and almost picked off. Rumping was there, and actually the pass was broken up. Amir Brown, the receiver, gets almost a defensive breakup on that play as number 8, who we don't know who he is, was the one that threw that pass that ended up a little bit short. A couple of Gamble Gators that are not on tonight's roster that are playing, different jersey numbers. 2 is 3. He's listed as 2/52, and he's neither. He's actually 3 tonight. That's Mabry. We don't know who 8 is out there. Third down and 15 for the Gators. Madison coaching staff making mention that the kicker, Alden Graham out there playing defense right now, out on the corner, number 35. You'll see him at the top of your screen.
I'm glad to see Nick Graham able to catch a game. He's typically taking photos of a Friday night contest, and now he's here on Thursday.
Boom. Nice hit there by Michael Burke on defense, and not a lot of yardage for a mystery quarterback, number 8. And a fourth down for Gamble. And when you're down 50-0 in this field position, what do you say, Chris?
You got to go for it.
Do you think the Gators are going to gamble?
I didn't see that coming.
R. Fourth down and 12, not a friendly down and distance. But even if you get 0 yards here, this will still be about the second worst field position Madison has started with all day long, even at the 48-yard line. Fourth and 12. Let's see what the Gator coaching staff draws up.
Timeout.
It's got to be Madison, right?
Madison,
unless it's an equipment problem. Oh, delay a game. They took too long. It gets worse. It gets worse. So here we go. Fourth down and 17 now for the Gators, and they're going to go for this. We're down to below 2.5 minutes left to go in the second quarter of this running clock. Number 8's going to throw a pass, intercepted, and it's going to be run back. And that is Rumping. He missed the last one. He's going to get this one. That's about a 45-yard interception return for Zach Rumping. And he was reading the quarterback's eyes all the way on that one,
Little
Chris.
exclamation mark there, Joel, before we head to the halftime break.
We're down below 2 minutes. The clock continues to run even on extra points. It's that lopsided, folks. We'll see if they can get a better snap this time, as Alden Graham's getting lots of extra point practice today.
He probably has more kicks today than kick opportunities than he would have in a soccer game.
My goodness.
That's a fact. Madison coach and staff going to put away the headsets or?
Kick is up and kick is good, and it is 57-0 in favor of the Mohawks.
See you, man.
Madison's coaching staff's already starting to put away some of the headsets here. This is just going to be a nice, joyful second half, I think. Clock continues to run, even as they're setting the kickoff. Typically, Chris, on a running clock situation in the second half of a game, they at least stop the clock for the touchdown, for the extra point, and to set up the kickoff. That's when they wind it again, but they're not even doing that here. It looks like everyone's just going to content to go in at halftime. That ball was snapped with 2 minutes left to go. A little more than 2 minutes left to go in the second quarter, and I don't know that this ball is going to get kicked off because we're below 30 seconds left to go here in the second quarter of play. It ain't happening.
Nope.
Gamble's not even on the field at this point in time. Down to 15 seconds and counting. The referee's not going to bother to give the ball to the kicker. Not with 3 seconds left, he's not. And they're going to send him off to halftime. Wow. Chris, I've seen some running clocks. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this.
I don't think we're going to see a running clock. I think we're going to see an actual game over.
Game over.
This game is being called.
My goodness.
Oh.
Well, I think they, don't bet against us again, says the Madison coaching staff. I love it. That's what you get. I've never seen this before. We are not even going to play a second half of football here, folks. Wow.
Oh, Joel.
Goodness.
Good to go home and work on my Miami Northwestern preview for Saturday.
So glad I spent so much time working on the halftime show.
Yeah. Well, let's chat about it, Joel.
Let's do it.
Thompson, have a good one. Take care, you guys. Good seeing you. Yeah, you too.
All right, let's look at some other. I made it like a baseball score. Final 2 innings.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so Chris, let's look.
Hang around for our halftime /
post-game show.
Post-game show. This is some stuff that you need to know.
Here we go. Let's talk about what's happening here in the world of high school football, starting with the games that are being played right now Thursday night. Final score from Welcome Stadium, and this game was not a lot prettier than the one we had here tonight. Big Walnut coming out of the Columbus area, going over to Welcome Stadium and taking down the Dunbar Wolverines by a score of 56-8. Dunbar is in Division 3. That would be Ross and Talawanda's Region 12. Third quarter score and a running clock in the Columbus area as Thurgood Marshall going on the road as a Dayton Public School and getting waxed by the Cougars of Beechcroft. 40-0 at this point in time. Thurgood Marshall is in Gamble's region, Division 4, Region 16. Halftime score, closer game. National Trail, the Blazers, leading 19-6 over the Panthers of Tri-County North. And National Trail is a Division 6 team, I believe. Does Madison, they played them last year, didn't they?
Yes.
They don't have them this year on the schedule.
National Trail is the game that Madison was in.
And then the injuries happened,
and they
right?
lost their Quentin Rodas ended up going down.
Yes,
and then that's
right.
when Madison ended up, they won their following game, but then they ended up losing 7 straight after that.
Yes, National Trail not on Madison's schedule this year, so this game of not significance to Madison. And then here's the game of the night, and Madison does care about this one.
Woo, Greenville.
The Greenview Rams, 26-21. Casano there in Jamestown, Ohio. He goes everywhere, man.
Madison is the walking, he's just a walking reporter right there.
Oh, my gosh. 26-21. That game's changed hands a couple of times. The Waynesville Spartans started off 0-1. They played Clinton Massey last week. And Waynesville is in Madison's conference, so if Madison were to knock off Waynesville later on this year, they would love Waynesville to have as many wins as possible.
Yep.
All right, game times for Friday night. For those of you that are tuning in wondering when the Butler County and our coverage area teams start, the Hamilton Lakota West game. Coach Crouch, Coach Bolden have agreed to move that game back to 8 p.m. due to extreme heat conditions.
Move.
WMOH will have that game. Jason Earhart on the call. Fairfield and Coleraine. Last I heard, Chris, correct me if any of these 7 o'clock games have moved. Last I heard, this game
right now
at the Cardinals' Nest is still at 7 p.m. for Fairfield and Coleraine. Mason and Lakota East, that game has been moved to 8 p.m. It should be a lot of defense involved in that game.
Agreed.
Between Castor's boys, and both those teams are coming off of very tough losses where they were both in those games against really good teams from last year. Lakota East losing to Centerville, Mason losing up in Columbus to Gahanna Lincoln. Oak Hills and Middletown, you mentioned that game at Barnett's. Both teams surprisingly 1-0, and maybe someone's going to be 2-0, and we'll see if the momentum keeps going there. 8 p.m. start time at Barnett's tomorrow night. DeSales and Baden, that's at Virgil Schwarm Stadium, and as last I've heard, unless Melzer's made any announcement, it stays at 7 p.m. for that game. And Ryan Day's son, the starting quarterback, Coach Day, maybe travels down to Hamilton to watch that game.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there. Springboro and Edgewood at Coomler. Edgewood, you played a really tough game at Milford last week. This doesn't get a whole lot easier playing a GWAC opponent in Springboro. We'll see how the Cougars try to bounce back against the Panthers. Here's a game, Chris. You want to find out how good Monroe is going to be?
Yep.
Send in Wyoming. Wyoming lost their very first regular season game in like 8 years at the end of last season. I think Indian Hill was the team that got them. Mm-hmm. But Wyoming, very formidable opponent. They're going into the Hornets' Nest, and Coach Mueller, much tougher opponent. We'll see how they go. We'll see how they do. Ross at home, playing an old conference rival that's no longer a conference rival, the Mount Healthy Fighting Owls. That game also 8 p.m. Friday night. 8 p.m. the game you're going to be at with Dan tomorrow night. Talawanda, Fenwick, both teams starting out 0-1, both teams desperately wanting to get a win and not wanting to start out 0-2. Marion Local at Franklin. Well, Coach Muncie, you want them, you got them.
Here it is.
Here's Coach Goodwin and the Marion Local Flyers. We'll see how you do with the best team in Division 7 and the winningest program in Ohio coming down. Is it Atrium Stadium there?
Atrium Stadium.
At Franklin, yes. New Miami, Manchester, the battle of number 1 versus number 2 in Division 7.
You got to love it.
We'll see how the Greyhounds try to run against the Vikings of New Miami. I picked New Miami to win this game, but after seeing what Gamble looked like tonight, maybe I'm rethinking that, Chris.
Well, hey, you know
we'll
what?
See what happens.
Hey, you know what? Hey, let's go ahead and let the games play out.
We'll see who you want to play who's on your schedule. In New Miami, you got a 1-0 opponent in Manchester to play. All right, other games for second-level points that you'll be keeping an eye on for Madison fans. You mentioned that they play Blanchester next week. Blanchester will be on the road tomorrow night at Cincinnati Country Day. Division 6 versus Division 6. The Wildcats are going to have their hands full with the Nighthawks down there in Cincinnati. We'll see what happens there. Brookville and Anna, that should be a barn burner. Mm-hmm. Brookville Blue Devils going up to play the Anna Rockets. Out of
good old-fashioned teams just going to go at it.
Midwestern Athletic Conference. Anna's in the same conference as Marion Local and Coldwater and all them. So we'll see. It's not going to be easy for Brookville, but Madison plays Brookville later this year. You would love to get your opponents to win as many games as you can for second-level points. Speaking of good opponents, Carlisle's got their hands full with Casstown, Miami East. Yep. The Vikings starting off 1-0 this year, as are the Indians of Carlisle. Eaton Eagles, they are on the road against the Richmond Red Devils. This should not be that competitive a game. Richmond has taken it on the chin in recent memory. We'll see. They're 0-1 so far this year, and the Eagles off to a 1-0 start after depantsing the Greenville Green Wave last week. They will travel on the road, try to take a 2-0 record, and start piling up some points for themselves. Oakwood on the road, up I-75, playing the Northridge Polar Bears.
Old-fashioned Southwestern Buckeye League.
There you go. There you go. And Oakwood, of course, they are also on Madison's schedule later on, so that's a game Madison would have interest in. The Lumberjacks trying to pull that out over the Polar Bears. Woodward and Meadowdale. This is a game that Gamble cares about. Woodward Bulldogs, they're traveling up there. This is a winnable game for them up at Welcome Stadium. We'll see what happens, but Gamble, if they get some wins over anybody in their conference, it's going to help them to get some second-level points. If some of these Cincinnati public schools can win, Woodward would be one such opportunity. Milton Union and Valley View. Oh, boy. This is a game right here.
Yeah.
Both of these teams starting off 0-1, which is not
uncommon.
Likely, and one of them's going to start out 0-2. Valley View played Coldwater last week, so they've scheduled up. The Bulldogs of Milton Union now going into Germantown to play the Spartans of Valley View. That's a 7:30 start tomorrow night. 7 p.m. start. Bishop Reedy playing against CHCA, and I believe Gamble Montessori has CHCA later on their schedule. Bishop Reedy, if you're watching this, Baden Rams fans, that's your Week 4 opponent up in Columbus, so you'd love to see the Silver Knights get a win over the Eagles of CHCA tomorrow night at 7 p.m. out there on I-71. The Covington Bucks playing Dayton Christian. Dayton Christian, the only Dayton school in the CMAC. I don't know why they play all of their games in conference against the Cincinnati Public Schools rather than playing Meadowdale and Thurgood Marshall and Belmont.
I actually noticed that when I was looking at some research, and I definitely realized that they were in the CMAC.
But Dayton Christian is a school that Gamble will play later on this year. Could be worth some points. Clark Montessori playing Fayetteville Perry. There's a couple teams falling on hard times there. Both of them 0-1. Someone's going to get a first win there. Trimble against Bellevue, Kentucky, and the Tigers of Bellevue. They've stolen Missouri's logo, as you can see there. Yep, that's a flat-out straight steal there. Bellevue, Kentucky, off to an 0-1 start. That is going to be an opponent coming up in a couple weeks for Gamble Montessori as well. Worth some second-level points potentially there. Not know how many first-level points it's worth because Joe Idle needs to still classify the out-of-state schools according to school size. Belmont and Aiken. Here are the games at Stargell Stadium later on as this week goes on. 12 noon Saturday, Belmont and Aiken. If you didn't get enough football there, stay around in the 3 p.m. Schroeder Padea's coming in here, and they're going to host Deer Park. And if you didn't get enough there, at 7 p.m., CCPA is going to be here hosting Summit Country. All three of those games here at this stadium.
Love it.
Okay? And all of those would be chances for Gamble to get some second-level points if they could knock off any of those guys later on in the season. So that wraps up that. You want to look at Division 5, Region 20 here for Madison, Chris?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that real quick.
Let's pull that up real quickly here. Madison, I don't have this updated, but Madison's going to get some first-level points, 5 of them to be precise, and that's going to shoot them up a little bit higher in the board. They'll be at 2.50 at this point in time, and when the week comes to an end on the gray column there on the very left-hand side of this thing. Right now, 2.50 would put them in 12th place as they rise up. And you can see the points in the future. Blanchester, Meadowdale, those are both not worth anything there at this point in time. So really, Madison has an interest in Meadowdale knocking off Woodward tomorrow, if that can happen. Brookfield, you can see, is worth 3.5. Eaton worth 5.5 already. And Carlisle's worth some points. And you've got to think Valley View and Waynesville are going to be worth some points when they get their act together. They've both played really hard first opponents there. Tough region here, Chris.
Yeah, it really is.
Greenview, as you see on the number 2 line, playing Waynesville right now, giving them all they can handle. You see Milton Union is down there on the 20 line, but they're going to be heard from as this goes on and on and on. West Liberty Salem, don't sleep on them on the 9 line. Versailles may be the favorite in the region on the 8 line. They're also from that Midwest Athletic Conference. It's possible again this year to get Versailles Division 5, Coldwater Division 6, and Marion Local Division 7. 3 potential state championship quality teams coming out of that Midwestern Athletic Conference, and they will beat each other up. You look at Versailles' schedule, you see New Bremen on there in a few weeks. You see Marion Local there in week 6. You see Anna there week 7. You see Coldwater there week 9. I mean, gosh, that's murderer's row, Chris.
Yeah. But hey, you look at it that way, it's going to be all worth it.
Anything else for the good of the order you want to hit?
Joel, I think we definitely nailed it. Unfortunate for the fans, we don't get to see more than 2 quarters of action. But Madison got off the snide there from last week and rebounded in a pretty healthy way.
57-0 the final in 1 half only of football.
This is my first time I've ever seen that, Joel.
I've never seen that either. So I don't know. I mean,
routing chair here.
You've got 2 schools of thought on that. One is why injure somebody on a 57-0 score.
Yep.
The other side of that is build character and don't walk off the field and don't quit.
Absolutely.
I think if I'm a coach, I'm probably more of the latter ilk.
Yep.
But I've also never coached football before. Basketball and soccer do not tend to have quite the same injury toll that football does tend to present.
Right. Well, hey, let's figure out what Madison can take out of this, and if Gamble Montessori is going to do what they're supposed to do and go to the drawing board.
I'll tell you what Madison's going to take out of this. A little bit of confidence.
Yeah.
A nice, the sky is not completely falling.
Yeah.
And 5 first-level points.
There it is.
That's what they're going to get.
You went technical there, didn't you?
That's it. And bring on film study for Blanchester next week for the Mohawks. Chris, you'll be up at Yeager with Dan vote.
Yep.
Yager, not Yager Stadium in Miami, but Yager Field.
I'll be at both
at Fenwick
multiple times this year. No, it should be a good game. We're going to enjoy it. Dan and I are stoked for it. We've been doing our research, and I think we're going to see a good one, guys. Well, you will hear from a good one because we're doing radio tomorrow.
You will see a good one. The rest of us will hear, hopefully, a good one. It's tomorrow night, start time 8 p.m. up there in Franklin. Not Middletown.
Nope, it is not Middletown.
Bishop Fenwick High School. No longer Cruisling Field, is now Yager since they've redone the field turf. The last grass fields, I think Mara Field is about the last one left, isn't it?
It is, yeah, you're right.
Carroll, I think, is turf now, and Fenwick is turf now. And
I talked to Cranford a couple weeks ago before the season started, and I said, hey, this field looks a little bit different than what it was when you were coaching prior. He said, yeah, I like the old school stuff, the grass, but this is pretty nice.
I hear you. Well, have fun with Coach Cranford and the good Dr. Vote tomorrow night, and we'll be listening in, good sir.
Awesome. Thank you very much for tuning in, folks.
Good night from Stargell Stadium, 57-0 Mohawks.